We should have done something about Mary, and this guy could have sang the song about Franks and beans.
That's right. That's right. America's Got No Talent.
This guy's going to save the city, Charles. He's going to do a fundraiser for Eric Adams.
He's a better singer than Joe Biden's president. And here we have, Mr. Style coming up on your left.
Man, those guys should form a super group.
Yeah, today featuring urban garbage. We have New York Bum Fashion Week.
Well, but welcome back, Charles. It's a beautiful day.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah, beautiful autumn day here in Madison Square Park.
It really is.
As the city continues to deteriorate around us.
It's because of global warming that it's so cold.
It's a little cool today, but we wanted to talk about how the West was lost. Joe Biden and his administration, it just seems like there's no end to the bad decisions. I don't want to call them bad decisions. It seems like they're making extremely effective decisions, but from the standpoint of someone who wants to destroy the country.
Yeah, well, first, hats off to the art department, and I appreciate use of the poster, because I think, I may have it wrong, but I think How the West Was Won may have been one of the first movies that I saw. It came out in 1962. I know that because I looked it up.
Cinerama.
When I was 6. And, of course, my father was from the West and had deep roots in many places in the West. And so I always, I was in an age where it was okay to play Cowboys and Indians, which we did in Washington Square Park. And I was really interested in going to that movie. I found it fascinating. I still find it fascinating. And I can bring up now that one of the reasons I've been somewhat discombobulated travel-wise and stuff is that my father passed away on June 11th. And I've been preoccupied ever really before then, but certainly ever since then, with settling his estate, which we've done a lot of so far. And he was really very proud, as were his parents, of their Western roots, and very proud to be Americans. Who, unfortunately for the Clintons, my Ortel ancestor arrived here in New York, or off New York, in 1853, in August of 1853, on a boat that at the very end of the trip foundered on the rocks in Connecticut, I believe it was. And he nonetheless managed to make it here and made a very successful life for himself. Very short period here in New York, but then he went out to Chicago in the early days and raised his family. My great-grandfather wisely left Chicago in the 1880s and went out to Spokane, Washington, where he built a big life. Had his only son, my grandfather, who then in turn had my father, who was an only child. So our family hailed, the Ortels that is, hailed from Prussia before there was a Germany, and immediately assimilated in this country, decided to bring whatever strengths they had to try to build this country and make it a better place for everybody, which is something they did do. To see this fucking crap weasel in the White House with his team of dinguses, in his administration, make...
It's a technical role.
Yeah, every conceivable awful decision.
I
mean, it's difficult to believe. Indeed, if you were, you have a lot of experience in Hollywood. If you're sitting there trying to write this script,
it would get rejected. We're not making this. Get this crap out of here.
It's impossible to be this stupid and awful, and to just relentlessly get everything wrong.
Yeah.
And the latest outrage, frankly, it happened the last hours or so. I'm now, of course, you and I were down in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, and your video footage.
It's ours, Charles.
Well, you did the shooting. I did 5 hours.
You participated.
Okay, so ours, but anyway, for 5 hours in the bitter cold, and it was really cold.
I'm amazed, actually, we were able to tolerate that all day. I think we wanted to. Right. It was mind over matter.
Right, and so, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I've watched a lot of trial movies and stuff like that. Perry Mason, but
you know people who get sued a lot.
Yeah, that's true. But this notion that the government, with its tremendous power and resources, would withhold exculpatory information.
Oh, I know.
Through multiple campaign seasons, the 20 campaign, the 22 campaign, and allow that nitwit Kinzinger and that bitch, I'm not going to use
Liz
the C
Cheney.
word, to get up there and whip the American and world public into a frenzy, withholding information that, to me, shows clearly this was a Fedsurrection. This was a plot orchestrated by Nancy Pelosi and others and rhinos to try to make sure that Donald Trump never would get back in power.
Of course.
And it was malice aforethought. I mean, it was really horrible stuff. And the proper...
It's one of the worst things anybody ever did.
Right.
People killed themselves over this.
Right. I mean,
Cops.
The proper punishment, which in this case I think would not be cruel, might be unusual, would be to horsewhip these motherfuckers. You know, seriously.
Well, no,
to the
an
point of
actual
death.
treason trial or something.
I'm saying horsewhip them, not
But you
hang
can't
them.
do that. I mean,
I'm sorry, this belligerent douche, Liz Cheney, getting up there, and you know, she had to, if she didn't know about these tapes, then she's really stupid.
No, she knew. I want to put something by you here, Charles. What she was doing, her response, and Kinzinger is doing something similar. Kinzinger was tweeting and Xing that, the footage has been out for 10 hours and nobody has said anything, so it's obviously nonsense. But it's like, hold on a second. Everybody is screaming
vacation.
with their heads on fire.
Right.
They're
Let's
already finding exculpatory evidence in these 40 hours. And what people who have never dealt with like large libraries of, you know, millions of little crappily disorganized video segments don't understand is that is incredibly difficult to deal with that stuff, to organize that stuff, to put it on a website such that everybody can access it and it's not going to crash, and you're not duplicating files or
and
corrupting
mistakes will be
files.
made,
And so what Liz Cheney then did was she took a produced video. See, most of these videos that they've released, Charles, are sort of like static cameras, security cameras that are just rolling for an hour or more. That's not like exciting video to look at. But see, what people don't understand and what Liz Cheney is doing, and others,
and did,
is she's showing this edited video that, just like a movie, is got a pace to it and interposition of different shots to make it exciting. It's got sound. Every short segment that's edited is somebody getting shot in the face with the gas and whatever. So they make this high impact, rapid cutting thing, and she's saying, they're walking through peacefully, but what about all this? And the thing that people don't understand is if you had 40,000 hours of attack and 4 seconds of something that revealed, wait a minute, this was all a plot by somebody else who set everybody up, that 4 seconds becomes the most important evidence in the whole thing because it is exculpatory. People don't realize that they are rooting for the elimination of things that protect every single person from a tyrannical government. They're begging for tyranny.
Right, exactly. I mean, you think back to the know-it-alls, the Poindexters on WABC and on CBS, NBC, and elsewhere. I won't bring up PSMNBC or whatever it's called, but
PMSNBC.
PMSNBC, exactly. But the Poindexters were all saying, "Look at Trump. He's agreeing to meet with the guy from North Korea. That makes him a dictator." Now, wait a second.
Stop bombing when he did that.
Well, let's just wait a second here. The notion that in the United States of America, knowing the history of what the King George III was doing that incited the revolution, in the United States of America in 2020 through 2023, now to 2024, the U.S. government would sit, rhinos included, McCarthy included, on exculpatory information when hundreds of people were sent to prison.
And spend all that money producing that stupid miniseries, posing as a trial.
Right, using an ABC senior executive producer. It's ridiculous. And then on top of that, in the New York Times, apparently, overnight, I will not read that garbage piece of junk ever again. But I saw a clip on Free Republic, which I do read, and which I recommend, where New York Times, I think, had a story where people were finally saying what you and I said day one of the lockdown, that this is enormously damaging to children.
Yeah.
It is perhaps the worst thing that has ever been done in modern history in America to
an
children.
Entire generation.
Well, because I'm obviously a nerd when it comes to education. I'm proud of it because I was raised by nerds, and they said, look, school is great. That's why we have 5 degrees from Yale. And so on my first day of school, I was eager. Imagine if you had been eager to go to school and then you get locked down.
Yeah,
You know,
you just
and-
killed that kid's enthusiasm,
Right.
maybe forever.
For 3 school seasons, for 2020.
Oh, I know. I
21,
mean, you're
and 23.
anti-socializing the
Right.
kids.
And you cannot, when you damage,
Can't get it back.
thousands, millions of children in that way, you end up with these wokesters, worse than the wokesters we see with blue hair,
Could you
and
imagine?
face tattoos, or there was a hilarious video I saw recently where, I don't know if I sent it to you, where one of these idiot wokesters was reacting to the idea that of a draft and was saying, nobody's going to force me to go to war.
Maybe.
Man. Yeah, a little bit.
Charles, you just raised an excellent idea. It's even better than raised by wolves, raised by nerds. You have a kid who's lost in the woods, raised by nerds, he becomes a genius. Here's your M3, Charles.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's a
think
good
so.
one.
But anyway, so back on my dad, it's very, when you have,
Wow, that guy on the scooter just almost got, they would have to stop and put him in there.
would have been, that's called synergy.
That would have been great.
But when I don't know what it was like for you when you went to school, but when I went to school, I think it was 2nd grade, I switched schools, and you're sitting around and teachers trying to make conversation with the class. What does your father do? Women back in 1962 or 3 didn't really work that much outside the home. So comes to me, and my dad's a nuclear physicist, and the teachers in the class kind of like laughs, and
Why do
the
they
teacher,
laugh at that?
Well, because the other kid's a lawyer, business owner, artist, nuclear physicist. And so the teacher turns to me and says, "Well, Charles, what does that mean? What does he do?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah, you should have just, here's a little split an atom.
Right.
It's like, Charles, you vaporized the class. You have to go to the dean.
No, I just didn't know. But he and my mother took huge interest in our education, and they sacrificed enormously to make sure, that we went to private school. I went to private school every day of my life, which is, I think, a little bit unusual. As did my second brother. My third brother spent a couple years in public school for complex reasons. But, then they took great care and attention to try to set us up on the straight and narrow and get us established, and afterwards looked after our
So loud today.
there's vacant stores everywhere.
I know.
And Bidenomics at work, right? And so at the end of his life, my dad I wouldn't say had quite the grip on reality that he had for so many
Well, we
decades.
should give him, he was 97,
He was
wasn't
almost 97, yeah, when he passed away. But
That's pretty good
But
to
he-
even,
But in the prime of his life, he outlived my grandfather, died at 96, but almost 96. But he, in the prime of his life, he would have been deeply saddened to think about. Here we are in Madison and 34th. You have a vacant store in that corner, vacant library in that corner, vacant store in this corner, and Wells Fargo Bank over there. I mean, this used to be prime real estate, and under quote fucking creeponomics. It's not Bidenomics.
you're quoting now.
Craponomics. People don't want to invest in the once greatest city on earth.
Yeah.
In part because you got a knucklehead mayor.
Well, he wants to take money away from the cops to help the criminals thrive. It's an excellent plan.
It's brilliant. No. It's actually more intricate than that. First, what he says is, notwithstanding the fact that there are a lot of people in this crime-ridden city who are very wealthy,
They should pay more.
what we're going to do is we're going to open up, we're going to announce to the world, I, the mayor, want to welcome anybody from anywhere in the world into my city.
And you're going to pay for it.
And somebody else will pay for it. There we have Pet Central's gone.
I think the whole thing might have gone out of business. A lot of pet centrals are closed.
Right.
Oh, FedEx is hiring.
Pet Central. Biden ran it, it'd be Crap Central. But anyway,
There's a pet.
a coddled pet. But anyway, so you have him announcing to the criminal elements around the world, come to
on
New York
in,
where
yeah.
there are all these people
Free
to
money.
rob and things to steal. Then he allows his district attorney to say, you know what? I'm not going to prosecute criminals. That's unfair.
Just Donald Trump. Only Trump.
That's right, I'm too busy. and his family, right?
Yeah.
And
Anybody
then,
he knows.
Yeah.
You know Trump? Okay, you can go.
Yeah. And then the idiot governor says, well, I'm even dumber than Eric Adams. You know, I'm going to say New York's a sanctuary state. And now what I'm going to do, because we have 450,000 job openings, and the reason we can't fill them is there are too many criminals in New York State. So what we're going to do is seal all the criminal records.
What?
Yeah, so she's just gotten through the legislature.
What?
Yep.
For what purpose? So that you hire criminals without
Right.
knowing it and then
Right.
they murder you?
Right.
Charles,
Not murderers. Short of murder.
Oh. What about this asshole?
And this asshole.
Oh, we got a whole crew.
Let's leave him alone. Let's leave him alone.
Fucking assholes.
I know, but they'll turn around on us.
See, now we got a gang.
We're outnumbered. They probably stole from that store. You know?
That girl looked like she was 14.
Again,
If that.
you end up in the wrong group. Why don't we go up Park, actually?
What's the difference?
It's nicer
Okay.
that way. So you have announcing to the world, to the billions of poor people in the world, and who knows how big the criminal element is. Come on down to the Rotten Apple, where we're not going to prosecute you. And now you find out there's a $7 billion a year budget gap. So your
That you're
solution
paying.
is the following: A, the rich should pay for it, who are leaving.
Yeah.
B, the parents who are not getting attention in school for their kids
Become cops
have
now.
to volunteer in school. Here's another idiot. Don't.
Not gonna say anything.
Yeah. But so that's the solution. Get parents who are overtaxed. Douche.
Fucking asshole.
You know.
See, they look back because they know.
Right.
I hope they just eliminate the cops and say, you know what? From now on, everybody is your own cop for free. The city's going to issue you a gun.
But you still have to pay a lot of taxes.
Fine. If I could, just exercise the enforcement of the
Yeah.
law
He likes my hat.
on the bicycles there.
Yeah. So I mean, this city is just. I contrasted. I spent a fair amount of time in Dubai and Singapore recently.
Didn't
and
you do something with the company Saab, Charles?
tried to sell it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have told you stay the hell away from that.
Yeah. No, I nearly sold it to Ford. We had a deal agreed,
You're
actually.
like, we want turbochargers that explode, Charles. We have the company for you.
I mean, Ford has that nepotism problem, right? The family's still involved with it.
Yeah,
What's his
that's how
name?
they get all their money from the dividend, right? Did you know that the Ford CEO is Chris Farley's cousin?
That's hilarious.
He looks like him next time you see. His name is something Farley, Jim Farley.
That's hilarious.
He looks just like him.
I wish Chris Farley were alive. He was great. Should we go on the other side, or?
I like this sculpture. Do you see that, Charles?
Yeah.
Little object d'art. It's a raincoat.
That one too.
Yeah. Wow, now it's suddenly sunny.
It's Coddled Pet Day. There's another guy with two dogs in a. You want to go on the shady side?
Sure.
So.
But wait, one question about the cops, because here we see a prime example. This guy's just walking around. Eric Adams' plan to save money, and this is the type of thing you used to do. Go and get a failing company and look at what the problem is and save it. His idea was, well, we're just going to close the incoming class of new police, because rather than getting new people who could be newly trained and start fresh, who only get paid $55,000 a year, we're going to keep around all the fat losers like Ibrahim who get paid $245,000 a year to do nothing.
To not work, yeah.
Right. Why not retire all those guys early, or the highest paid, lowest performance people, retire them early and bring in as many new people for a low cost? If you get 4 new officers for the price of 1 that you're getting out, doesn't that seem like a better idea?
See, again, one of the big tricks in investment banking and what I was doing is to figure out whether the patient can be saved at all.
And this one can't.
And this patient is not on life support; it's on death vigil. Right. Because let's start with the problems. The first problem is there are many different public sector unions, city, state, federal, that have retirees who are not working.
Right. Getting paid still.
Getting paid, have been
Living
made
longer.
extravagant pension promises, and don't have the assets to make. So that's your first problem. The second problem is you have a large percentage of the valuable real estate in New York City is owned by not-for-profits, some of which,
Not paying
Columbia
taxes.
University, NYU, et cetera,
That's the first thing that's got to go.
Well, and beyond that, some of these not-for-profits, it seems, are involved promoting terrorism.
Yes.
Endorsing terrorism. And especially including the Clinton Foundation, which, by the way, I saved this surprise for the free segment. They didn't file their 990 on time.
Oh, man.
According to
But
their
so
own
they don't
website.
ever care, though.
Well, because they think they have the system game, but their website does not have. Yeah, maybe they were on vacation or whatever to all of their
14
people
years.
were out celebrating Hamas somewhere, but they didn't bother to get it up on their website on the 15th.
That's the first time Bill Clinton couldn't get it up.
I don't think that's the first time.
Well, maybe.
I think about every time he was at Hillary. But
Oh,
anyway,
that's true.
God, we'd say this kind of stuff in front of a Catholic church.
Sorry,
guys. Anyway, they didn't file on their own website, which they should be able to do that, and it's also not in the New York State Attorney General Charities Bureau website. And more interestingly, I noticed that the 20, I guess what would it be? Yeah, the 2020 was not filed until 2022 in March.
but
So
they're not even charging Joe Biden for stuffing documents into his Corvette. What are they going to do about Hillary
that's not
Clinton?
going to work for them. I mean, the one thing that has really boosted Trump's popularity after getting indicted so many different times is a sense across the once marginalized communities that did so well under Trump, the African Americans, the Hispanics. They're seeing the justice system turn on its head to persecute Trump
Right.
and protect Biden, and that's the kind of behavior they have personal knowledge
Right.
of in themselves sometimes, their extended families, and they see this and they say it ain't right. And sensible people, of which maybe there's one in the Democratic Party,
Who's that?
I don't know, so maybe there's one, should be thinking about what happens when Trump stomps in 2024 and puts in a team of, headbangers into his.
Who is this guy?
I don't know.
Butter frauds.
Say
So-
what?
What's the hat? Butter frauds.
But her frauds,
I
yeah.
love it.
Good. Who am I talking about?
Obviously, Lady Clinton.
You got it.
I hope.
Head of the class.
You win today. Thank you. All right, here we go.
You
You
too.
too.
So, yeah, it was suspicious. And here we have another member of the bum Fashion Week.
So, Charles, 2 minutes left here, and then we're going to make our way to the First Amendment Forum.
Sure.
You're saying it's not going to work for them. What's going to happen? David Weiss was like, we're not going to charge you. Who's going to come along and do anything about that?
Well, we'll see. I mean, you mentioned that Steve Bannon has the idea there ought to be another
J6
J6 committee.
They
and
have to.
I think he's absolutely right about that. I mean,
There is precedent,
oh, I know.
because
You
they
guys have like an Instagram or something.
crowdsource the truth on YouTube.
Crowdsource the truth.
Thank you. Thank you for not attacking us. Because remember, in 1978, after Robert Grodin went on to
Is Charles Grodin's
Geraldo
brother?
Revelle, no, he was working for Kodak or something, and something happened where he saw the Zapruder film. I forget the details, but he's the guy who put the Zapruder film onto Geraldo Rivera's Good Night America or something like that with Dick Gregory there, and it was 1975, and it was the first time anybody ever saw the Zapruder film, and everybody thought JFK got shot from behind out of the window by Lee Harvey Oswald, and then they show his head explode over the back of the car, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
and then they created the House Select Committee on Assassination to re-investigate the work that
Right.
the Warren Commission did. And of course they messed with that too, and it never came to the proper conclusions anyway. They don't stop messing with stuff, Charles.
Right. Well, and, we'll talk more about this in First Amendment, but look at all the news that's come out now about COVID and Fauci and
Right.
the researchers lying about
Everything.
destroying evidence, and then the CDC apparently admitting that now that they never looked at any evidence before I mean,
That's great. At least
Yeah.
they admit that.
I'm delighted that we spent all that money at the CDC.
Why do we need evidence again?
I think we should call it the TOILET.
Yeah.
Just
Well, this used to be a plane
That-
ticket place, and now it's tacos. But Charles, we've reached the end of the line here on YouTube and all of our free platforms. So people are going to be able to join us on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. I've been restoring a ton of legacy content on there, and even for free, people can view
good
all
stuff.
of that. Yeah, Odyssey has become the largest repository for Crowdsource the Truth legacy content, and people had noticed, Charles, the SEC or something got upset with whatever cryptocurrency, that library thing that runs the blockchain that does something with Odyssey, but the people at Odyssey told me that there's still a lot to work out, and that I got the impression that that channel is, it's an asset of this thing, and maybe somebody will buy it or it'll be
Watch out,
auctioned or
these
whatever.
guys.
But I think something's going to happen with that. So we'll be back in just 5 minutes. And don't forget to read the Twitter coup on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, also free. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be right back.